Giordano Bruno, the man who saw infinity. The first time I heard about Giordano Bruno, not Giorno Giovanni, which is a guy from BGJ? No, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. First time I heard about him is when I had a project in school and I had to make a presentation about some philosophers, right? And I was speaking about how the church, the Christian church, in the past have been quite neglectful of their duties and have been using their power for mischievous purposes. Ooh, an obvious example, like Galileo, where they condemned him to an eternity of hell or something like that. But they put him in house arrest for the rest of his life because he said the Earth revolves around the sun instead of the sun revolving around the Earth. Now, what made Giordano Bruno, I'm gonna stop saying that, Giordano Bruno, so incredible and his story so fascinating is the fact that not only was he right about his claims that the universe were infinite, just like Galileo was, he was wrong in most things, and he was hated for it. That's what's interesting. Bruno believed things like the Earth being a living organism that has its own mind and its own will. He believed in reincarnation, magic, which obviously weren't true. And even his ideas about the sun being quite far away, much farther away than we believed at the time, those were rooted in paganism and magic, not in proper science, if you want to call it that way. One of his most egregious mistakes might actually be believing, and not to misquote him, let's read straight from the Google page. I don't know if you guys can see it. The universe is full of comets turned demons, heavily influenced by ancient hermits and Egyptian texts. He believed the celestial bodies in the sky, sun, moon, etc., are demons with spirits. Come on, I'm part of people. Come on. Giordano Bruno was not right about many things in life, like his religious views, maybe, depends on who you ask. But the one thing he was actually quite right about was the infinite expanding universe. Giordano Bruno was truly the man who saw infinity. This is math. This is math homework. I have a math quiz tomorrow. It's an exam. If I fail it, I'm gonna kill myself. But Giordano Bruno said that the universe was infinite. But unfortunately, he lived in times very different from ourselves. The church at his time, who lived there in the same place he did, because that's how things work, they were not quite fond of Giordano Bruno, not only because his idea of an infinite expanding universe was quite radical at the time, also because he had different religious meanings, different religious views. Giordano's religious views were quite expanding, to say it at least. He believed in a form of cosmic plurality, like the universe. He believed in many gods. He believed in many different things. It wasn't quite one thing in particular. And that's maybe one of the things that made him so intelligent. But he spent most of his life moving from city to city to city to city to make sure he was never attacked, killed, or thrown out of society completely. The church at the time had a habit of killing, imprisoning, and torturing people who had differing views. And worst case scenario, you get burned at the stake. Womp womp. So Bruno, of course, started moving from university to university, Oxford, Harvard, etc. Maybe not Harvard, I don't remember. But from place to place until he eventually met his demise. The Roman Inquisition in the 1600s was when Bruno unfortunately died. He was sentenced to death by the church for his radical views, and he had a very famous quote. And to make sure I do not misquote him, let's read it out loud together. Perhaps you who pronounce my sentence are in greater fear than I who receive it. That is oral. That is oral. Imagine, oh my gosh, and I can't even keep straight face. That is oral. Perhaps you who pronounce my sentence are in greater fear than I who receive it. Do you know what that means? He, on his death, instead of saying his theories were wrong, instead of begging for his life, he upholds what he has said. And he says, no, I see the infinite universe and it is true. I see beyond your stars, beyond your beliefs, and I know it to be true. And I would rather die than to be in fear of you who perceive me as wrong. Or something like that. The aura of being able to say the universe is infinite and you cannot see it. But I can. That is aura. Anyway, I had a presentation about him and I just wanted to talk about him because he was pretty cool. He was pretty cool. So if you see infinity, and I'm not talking about Gojo from the anime Jujutsu Kaisen, if you see infinity in the stars, run for it. That doesn't even make sense. I don't know what I was trying to say. I was trying to be cool. It didn't. Bye guys. Love you all. Remember to listen to my new song, Sanity. It's my first song, please. Okay, bye-bye.